name is Vince Ainger. I'm your host this morning. And Dr. Sonia Bethel is with us this morning. Dr. Bethel comes on a monthly basis. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to let you tell us what the updates are this morning.
Okay. All righty. Well, I'm here today just to talk about some things that are going on in the medical center. You probably hear a little buzz about some staffing changes,
Yes.
and so I just want to make everyone aware that we are in the process of hiring a nurse practitioner to replace one of the two that departed within the last month.
Yes.
So we have Chris Newcomer is a nurse practitioner who will be starting with us on Monday, May 16th. And she joins Kathy Mayers, who is the nurse practitioner who's been with us for about 10 years or so.
Sure.
And we will also be looking for a third nurse practitioner to complete the staff. We have just recently accepted the resignation of Dr. Bala.
Yes.
And so we will be replacing that position with someone who can also step into the role of medical director, because I intend to complete my tenure as medical director by the end of this year. So when we look for Dr. Bala's replacement, it will be with that in mind, that that person could, step into the position that I currently serve. So.
Sure.
That's the correct information. I don't know what has been said, but now you know.
The important thing is that you're going to stay on.
I will be here.
All right, that's good news.
For the foreseeable future.
Sure, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Right. So we're also going to just talk a little bit about trying to protect your memory, because as you age, there is a component of slowing down of major organs, and including your brain.
I've noticed that, by the way. All right.
So there are multiple areas of concern when you think about trying to preserve that. So one of the first things that we often think about is visiting your doctor or healthcare professional on a regular basis. So when you're young and relatively healthy, some people say, oh, okay, I can just go for a physical and, that's all that's necessary. But as you get older, you certainly want to sort of be in a preventive, mode, and you want to really kind of manage through any chronic medical conditions that you have. So that's why when you leave us for a visit, you'll hear us say, well, you need a follow-up visit,
Yes.
In 3 months or 4 months or 6 months or whatever. So that is important, and it's important that you get that in mind, that you need to have an ongoing sort of relationship with your physician. Okay.
Sure.
And so there are certain conditions that we know really affect your memory, whether it be your heart. So if you have coronary artery disease, where you're not getting adequate blood supply because the arteries are too narrow, or you've had a heart attack, or you have plaque buildup, all of those things prevent adequate oxygen, and the brain needs a lot of oxygen. So
Sure.
that's one of the many conditions that we really need to follow on a regular basis. Whether you have a chronic lung constriction, so COPD, also affects oxygen supply. Whether you have diabetes, which of course then affects multiple organs, which in turn can affect your memory. So those are reasons that you really need to follow up with us on a regular basis. And there are very few folks who say, well, I really don't have any chronic conditions, and those really are few. You still need to get followed up, because often we can detect something that needs to be monitored.
Sure.
And be followed and
Yeah.
prevent you from having problems.
Yeah.
So then the next category that we really focus on is physical and mental exercise. So it's recommended that you have at least 30 minutes of exercise 3 days a week, or preferably 5 days a week, okay? So you think, how am I going to do that? Well, living in an Erickson community in general, and in Green Spring in particular, it was intentional that the mailboxes are in a central location, so you have to get to them, you have to walk to them.
Yep.
The dining rooms are located in a strategic position, so that you have to walk to eat. So if you do nothing else other than check your mail and eat, that does provide a minimal amount of exercise. But in addition to that, you can also walk the circuit.
Sure.
And so if you do that, that's very close to a mile. You should do that preferably several times a week for physical exercise. There's the fitness center for additional physical exercise. And, those are ways that you can keep physically active. For mental exercise, it varies. I mean, some people enjoy crossword puzzles or Sudoku or, various kinds of ways that you stimulate your thinking. Even engaging in conversation is helpful.
Sure.
Because, you have to remember someone's name, or you have to answer a question, or just to, have an exchange of information with another person is very helpful. So exercise is a way that you want to, stay on top of things. The next category would have to do with sleep. So both the quality and the quantity of sleep. So, most people need at least 6, preferably 8 hours of sleep at night. And you might say, oh, well, I don't know that I need that much sleep. Well, one of the ways that you would find that out is, if you sleep for, say, 4 hours, likely are not going to have a good day the next day. If you sleep for 6 and you wake up and you're still maybe a little groggy, that may be borderline. But if you can get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, that is what's recommended as an adequate amount. Now, then you get into the idea of, well, if I can't sleep on my own, how am I going to affect that amount of sleep? And of course, there are medications. However, we don't generally recommend that you use traditional sleep aids to help you with sleep, because they have a host of side effects, particularly in the elderly population. Something as simple as Benadryl, which would not give negative effects when you're younger, it can affect your memory as you get older. So please be very cautious about, trying to help with sleep by taking medications.
Sure.
Instead, we recommend cognitive behavioral therapy, which can be accomplished by visiting our mental health professional, Pat Ferrari. She's been with me on many occasions, and we've talked about sleep and how you go about getting adequate sleep.
We're down to 5 minutes, by the way.
Okay.
I'm going to let you do the timing, control the timing of the conversation here.
All right. And then for quality of sleep, if you are sleeping alone, it's still advisable to have someone maybe observe or listen to you sleep periodically to make sure that you're not having those periods where you stop breathing, which is called sleep apnea.
Yes.
And of course, those are times when your brain doesn't get adequate oxygen.
Right.
So that's a category that we always want to remind people to be on top of. And then diet and drinking enough water. Those are that's the last major category that we always think about. So a diet that's rich in fruits and vegetables and fiber, low in sugar and complex carbohydrates, low in alcohol, caffeine, all of those areas you need to worry about. And water.
There goes the whiskey sours.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And drinking water, at least 6, preferably 8 ounces of water every day. Okay? So reduce stress. Get enough exercise, eat properly, perhaps think about just keeping a little diary of things that you want to do during the day to try to help your memory. If you want to just use word association, if you meet someone and you want to say, okay, now how am I going to think of this name? Think of something else that that you're familiar with that you might want to associate that name with, or use little acronyms or things like that to kind of help your memory. So it's a complex package, but hopefully not too overly complicated.
Now, a lot of the things, I'm doing a lot of the things right. I'm doing some of those things.
Okay.
Dr. Pham has me, I think, on a 4-month tether. Does that sound right?
For return appointments?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think it's 4
Okay.
or 6. I think it's 4.
Okay.
My bed is the most comfortable place on the whole campus. What I've been told, or what I've heard, is that when you get to my age, you don't probably need as much sleep as you used to. But if you tell me I need 8 hours sleep, that's easy for me. I can do that. So I don't know if that's true or not. At my age, you usually need less sleep than
Somewhat less, but probably 6 is still a reasonable
6
number to shoot for.
is a good number, sure.
Right.
Kind of off the subject, maybe a little bit. Last Thursday, I visited my dermatologist.
Okay.
For the first time in a long time.
Okay.
How often should people like me get to visit their dermatologist?
Probably annually, unless you have had some recent, concerning skin issues.
Sure.
Annually is probably a reasonable interval, because one of the advantages of getting older is that even if there is a concerning skin problem, the rate of growth is going to be less than it was if you were younger.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. He said, I said to him, I've not been in a long while. He said, yes, I see this. I see that. So kind of by way of apology, you see, I said, I spend a lot of time with doctors, gosh. In any case, when I came back, someone said to me, we have a dermatologist here.
Yes, we do.
And I hadn't realized that, or I'd forgotten that.
Yes.
And someone who comes in, maybe once a week or
No, she's here twice a month.
I see, okay.
Twice a month. It's Dr. Tunstall, and she is going to be expanding her practice and joining another group of doctors, but we will still have dermatology coverage here at least a couple times a month. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'll have more about that in upcoming months.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
good. So I should be getting at least once a year anyway.
Yes.
All right.
Seems reasonable.
We're probably down to a couple of minutes, and what else is there that you'd like to get in the next? 2 minutes. What else would you like to get in?
2-minute warning, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to remind everyone to keep a regular connection, with your physician. Always review your medications to make sure that what you're on is what you should be on, and what we have listed is what you're actually taking. So, because a lot of times you visit a specialist or whatever, and something is changed or discontinued or added. So make sure that we update that list periodically. Make sure that you do, whatever is comfortable for you in terms of reducing stress, so that you can keep your memory as clear as possible. Get your exercise, do the appropriate diet, get the amount of sleep that you need, and hopefully you can preserve your memory by doing all of those maneuvers.
Yes. I have sleep apnea. I'm on a CPAP, and we're down to a minute here. I sleep better with a CPAP. I really sleep well with a CPAP, better than if I didn't use it. I probably should have the CPAP checked to make sure that the pressure is where it ought to be. I have no idea.
That's exactly right.
I know what it was set at originally, but that was years ago also. All right, we're down to less than a minute here. We're getting close, and I thank you very much for coming.
You're
welcome. We'll see you next month with some additional updates, I suppose.
Yep, I'll be here.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming in.
Okay.
Good
Nice
to
to
see you.
speak with you.
And stay with us. We will be back with philanthropy.